In this video, we look at what are the post-deployment checks and validations available, which you can configure and enable to implement your continuous deployment pipelines. Going back to our pipeline, as you can see here, we have a development and a staging environment, and followed by a QA where any deployment to development or staging automatically deploys to QA. So one of the scenario here is every time there is a release, a development development deployment happens, and almost immediately it gets ahead into deploying to QA. So in a normal scenario, you will need a control wherein post the, post the deployment to development, you may need to do some validations, some manual validations or automated checks to ensure everything is working fine before you can deploy it to a QA. So in order to enable this, you need to go into post-deployment conditions, wherein you have three different options. The first one is pre-deployment approval, post-deployment approval, which basically indicates that after deploying to development, you can enable an manual approval so that it can now be deployed into QA. Between the deployment and the manual approval is where you will do your validations checks to ensure everything is fine before deploying to QA. So in order to enable pre-deployment, post-deployment approval, you basically enable it and then specify the list of people you want to approve into the pipeline. So now here it can be an individual user names, or it can be a group or a team name. In case of an individual users, if you have added 3 users, the approvals will be requested in the same sequence. And or if a team or a group is added, if any one from the group or a team approves, it will be considered as an approval. So this is especially useful when you work in a multi-location teams, wherein you may not be available at a time when a deployment is happening, or in that scenarios, you will and it's a good practice, add a group, and then anybody in the group and adds it, approves it, will go ahead and deploy. So this is the post deployment approval, and similarly we have something called gates. So gates is a way to do a basic validation of the deployment post of the deployment after the release. So gates are, it could be as simple as calling an API, especially since most of the applications nowadays have APIs. When an application is deployed, you can invoke some of the basic APIs to ensure the deployment is success and you're getting the response that is required. And then if that particular APIs are working fine, you should be able to assume the deployment is at least has not broken the basic functionality of the app. So here you can invoke an API, and then you can specify the method type, your inputs, your body, URL, everything can be configured. And how the gates work is, it would invoke your API or multiple APIs in a for up to 3 durations, 3 times. And if all the 3 are successful, it would mark the deployment as a success. And the interval of between evaluation is 5 minutes, which you can change it uh, to a number either in hours or minutes. So post-deployment approval are especially useful when you have APIs, and it will reduce your time in smoke test and ensure the basic validation is done before you get into your functional and functional testing and more detailed system testing.